Thank you, Steve. So, how did y'all think Margaret Smith was doing as our Master of Ceremonies? I had no idea he was going to show a picture of his dog, and if I'd known, I would have brought another picture of Bernie, because ever since we moved to Virginia, he's getting cuter every year. You know, and people, I often tell, in fact, just last week I was telling a group of people, we were talking about dogs, our dogs, and sharing. In fact, it was probably Marty that started it. We were talking about dogs, and I said, it's interesting, because throughout this past year, I've had countless numbers of FCPS employees who have sent me pictures of their dogs. In fact, Jay Pearson sent me a picture of his dog, I believe sitting out in front of Marshall High School, right in front of the Marshall High School sign. Many of you in this room may have sent me pictures of your dogs. And then many of you probably have heard me say that I meet lots and lots and lots of people on the elevator at Gatehouse. In fact, I can't even tell you how many people will be introduced to me, and also, yes, we've already met on the elevator at Gatehouse. Does that happen to you a lot, where you meet people? Well, just last week I met someone on the elevator at Gatehouse, and he said, listen, I have to show you a picture of my dog. I think those kinds of things are important because it humanizes you. And that's why it's, you know, our dogs aren't our most important thing. I'm sure it's our children, our husband, our other loved ones, our church, obviously the children that we serve, but it's nice when you can make a human connection with other people. And so I think that's always kind of fun to talk about our dogs. My husband and I, in fact, Lewis is not here today. He ordinarily would be here, but we just got back last night from a trip, spending a long weekend with our children. And our children are all married and older and have their own jobs. And so it was interesting, at some point over the last 5 years or so, something changed and we started to have to accommodate their schedules. So we accommodate their schedules in order for us to see them. They don't accommodate ours, which is all good, because I would not have picked this weekend, and I certainly would not have picked a 7-hour flight to come back last night to see you this morning. So, but it was great to see them. But my husband will be here otherwise, but having been gone a few days, he had to get to work. I just want to comment on, you know, I know that Marty introduced our board members earlier, so I will not introduce them again by name. But I would like to acknowledge them and thank them all for their service, their dedication. I will tell you that I see firsthand the amount of time, energy, and commitment that they put toward the work, and it's a real delight to work with them. So I want to thank you all for your service. I also have enjoyed this past year getting to know them all personally, individually, and working with them. I want to congratulate our new chair, Tammy Kovacs, and our vice chair, Ted Belkoff. I also want to thank Mr. Moon for his service this past year as our chair. I've enjoyed working with him very, very closely. And again, he's tireless. I know he has a full-time job, and then everywhere I go, he'd be there. So it's just amazing. I didn't know if there's a clone of him somewhere. But also today is Mr. Moon's birthday. So we have a birthday. Korean tradition, at a certain age you start going the other way, right? You don't get old. Right? And then I know today, last year I didn't know, you know, after 1 year, I was visiting with Matt and Elon earlier. Where's Matt? I don't know, Matt's probably up there. Matt, yell out, where are you?
I'm up here.
There he is! I enjoyed visiting with a lot of you before we started the session today. Matt was one of the people I was visiting with, and Matt finished his first year as principal at his school, and Robinson Secondary School, and I, of course, finished my first year as superintendent. So we both agreed that we're going to be old pros this year, right, Matt? Old pros. Well, last year I didn't know about Ryan. I knew he liked to take pictures occasionally. So those of you that know Ryan McElveen, he likes to take pictures, which is great, because I'm terrible, and I love pictures, I'm one of those people that forget to take them. Do y'all like that? Not Ryan, he always remembers. And last year I did not know that he was recording my speech. And it was on YouTube last year. This year I know he's recording my speech. Because I see him right there. And the only reason I know that, and I will tell you, I don't like being recorded. You think in the job I have that I would, I guess enjoy it, but not necessarily. But I will tell you though, I sent that to my father and my mom last year. I don't even can't tell you how many times they watched it. A lot of times. And so just want to shout out to my mom and dad. They'll watch it, I know, a lot of times. But it's, it always feels good when you make your parents proud, right? And I will tell you that having spent the last few days with my daughter and son-in-law, I was just telling Sandy or some other folks down here that, it's wonderful when your children are thriving. It's very, very nice to see. So I know how my parents feel when, your kids are doing okay. They haven't embarrassed you or anything. It's all good. But sincerely, board members, I remain very, very thankful and humbled to be a part of the Fairfax County Public Schools, and I thank you all for this opportunity. Members of the leadership team, they've all been introduced, but because you're leaders in this organization, you know how important it is to be surrounded with great people that do the hard work and all the really heavy lifting. So, indebted to all of our leadership team. Really enjoyed working with them. Gives me a great degree of confidence about the future when I look at all the wonderful people in this room and I know about the leadership we have. Also want to welcome Dr. Steve Lockhart. He didn't know that he was going to be, thrown out to the stage this early in the process, but he did okay so far, right? He's wonderful, and you'll see for yourself when you have a chance later today to get to hear him speak. We're very, very lucky and very, very fortunate to have him join our team. And I have to say I'm very grateful to Dan Paris, Rich Manusco for their leadership in that same position over this recent past. He has big shoes to fill, but he's going to do great. I'm looking forward to working with him. And I know that Sue, Kirk Bride, and Chris Donahue were introduced earlier. I saw Sue earlier. I'm not sure where she's. Sue and Chris, oh my goodness. A lot of times I tell people they just kind of point me, in the right direction and let me go. And they do a great job of supporting the work that we do. So I couldn't get by, I couldn't do without. I see Andy there. I didn't know Andy was here. Andy also, my goodness, I couldn't do without them. You know what I mean, right? You've got support folks like that. What a difference they make. We have a lot of great ones in FCPS, so thank you all. We were also joined by some dignitaries who have already been introduced. Please know that we are so grateful for your continued support of our students and our schools, and we thank you for joining us today. And as we continue to grow and continue to face challenges and wonderful opportunities, I know that Mike was talking about our tremendous growth. We will exceed over 187,000 students this coming year, and we now are the 10th largest school system in the United States. It's amazing. We're number 10 and probably will be number 9 this year. So we will continue to need the support of the leadership throughout the state as we continue to support an excellent system of schools, but also a very fast-growing system of schools. Again, I want to thank George Mason University for hosting us today. I was telling the team earlier, and Mark, I'm not sure if Mark was able to stay, we would not be able to have events like this if it weren't for their partnership and support, so we're very, very grateful. The tuition reduction, good. I had no idea he was going to announce that. That's not a bad thing, so we're very grateful for that as well. And then Apple Federal Credit Union, we thank you for your support. I think you're going to enjoy the keynote speaker. They've long been a wonderful supporter of our system, and so we're very, very indebted to Apple Federal Credit Union. Well, this is an exciting and very, very special day. Even as I begin only my second year, I've already begun to look forward to this day, our official kickoff to the new school year, and the opportunity to reflect back on the previous year and to look forward to the coming year. This is also a great opportunity to welcome everyone who is joining the leadership of FCPS. We have, I think, well over 200 new leaders to varied positions. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming all of these new leaders. And if you please stand up if you're new to your leadership position, let us congratulate you and welcome you to our leadership. Experience. I hope someone has adequately prepared you for that experience. It is something I know everyone looks forward to, and you probably heard that last year I participated, and I was a good sport, wasn't I? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to ask someone. I'm not going to be wearing a cape this year, though, if that tells you anything. The cape has been retired, so we look forward to that. This past year, as I entered the system, we developed an entry plan that was posted on our website. And one of the most important aspects of this plan was around strategies that we use to learn about the system, because I've had a lot to learn, I continue to. And we wanted to also hear what our stakeholders had to say about our system. As I worked with our team to execute this plan, I met with many of our interested stakeholders to hear what they thought was important for me to know about the system. In this process, I also received a lot of suggestions and advice. In fact, right after I was named Fairfax County Public School Superintendent in April of 2013, Chris Amundsen, many of you know her, she was a former school board member. Some of you may recall that she wrote a letter to the editor of the Washington Post where she commented on my selection. Some of you may remember that. In her commentary, she provided me with some advice, including a reference to our need to address the very serious achievement gaps that we have in our system. And she was right. Our achievement gaps are one of our most pressing and most important priorities, and certainly one of our most important challenges. Mrs. Amundsen also provided some other very sage advice, and Dr. Lockhart, you need to listen to this, because you may want to take heed. She indicated in her letter to the editor, she said, when you're going out, Dr. Garza, when you're going to a board meeting, visiting a school, or headed out to the community, to a community meeting, she said, leave early. Leave really, really early. Wow, this is a true statement. I've learned to allow plenty of travel time, and I'm very, very reliant on my GPS, and so I trust my GPS. I don't second guess it, I just do what it says. So that was good advice. I've also learned this past year that it does snow in Fairfax County. Now, I'm giving our school board a hard time because my husband doesn't like cold weather. And they said, oh no, it doesn't snow very much here at all. And we've laughed a lot because this past fall, back in sometime in October, I was in a store like a CVS or a Walgreens or something, and they had this huge display of snow shovels. And on a whim, I thought, look at those snow shovels. And on a whim, I bought a snow shovel. Probably wasn't a very good one, but I bought one. Threw it in the back of the car and threw it in the garage. Who knew that we would put that snow shovel to work? And we also, Lewis and I both learned for the first time that shoveling snow is really hard work. He learned it more than I did. I cheered him along, though. I cheered him along. Seriously, though, I have learned a lot, and I continue to learn. I visited about 82 schools this past year. Had the goal of getting to 100, didn't quite get there. The budget got in the way, spent too much time on it, had to spend a lot of time on the budget. That will continue to be a priority this year is visiting schools. I conducted 12 listening tours where we had a total of well over 2,000 people who attended, and many of you in this room, I'm sure, may have attended one of those. These events, we listened to the perspectives of various stakeholders, and we had many who submitted written comments. We appreciate so many people who took the time to come out and talk about our schools and about our students. We also used a new electronic tool called User Voice, where we had over 1,200 ideas and or suggestions that were submitted electronically. I read them all. And throughout the year, we continued to listen. We conducted numerous surveys, including the surveys specifically designed to assist us in the strategic planning process, where we had over 30,000 stakeholders who submitted comments. With survey responses and the listening tours and so many other things that we did in terms of outreach to our community, and when I say we, it takes more than just me, it takes all of us, board members and all the leaders in this room. But we did learn this past year that is very, very evident. Everywhere I go, I hear about why people move to this county. And they will tell me, we came here for these schools. We love our schools. Business leaders, we relocated our company here because we want our employees, children to go to great schools. We want our business to be in a great community. This community is proud and supportive of Fairfax County Public Schools. And no doubt, there is very, very, very much to be proud of. So congratulations to you all for that. Give yourself a hand. Not every community supports its public schools like this one does. So it is we're very, very fortunate. We also learned that when we asked about the quality of our educational programming, we received consistently high scores. You will see on this slide that, remember I got home late last night, so it's not their fault. My back in stage folks, if they don't know when to pull up the slide, it's my fault. So I have to change things at the last minute. Do y'all do that a little bit? But you'll see on this slide, when we asked about our educational programming and we received consistently high scores, students agreed that we provide a high quality educational experience, and they rated us at 79%. Parents, 84% said they agreed with that statement. Employees, 89%, and community members, 80%. That's higher than you'll probably see anywhere across the country. When stakeholders were asked about how trustworthy our organization is, we also received high scores from parents at 84%, and non-parents rated us at 65%, which is still high for individuals not engaged in our schools on a daily basis. And our community does believe that we value and respect cultural diversity of our students and their families, with 90% of our parents agreeing with this statement and 65% of our non-parents agreeing with this statement. So I want to congratulate each and every one of you for the very, very hard work and that tradition of excellence that exists in our schools. We have so much that we can do because we have so much wonderful success to go along. So this is very good news. As we listened, we also learned about some areas that will need our attention in the coming years and months. When asked about whether or not students and their social and emotional needs are being met by our organization, only 30% of our students agreed with this statement, while 51% of parents agreed, 58% of employees agreed, and 36% of the community agreed. We have all been concerned about the overall health and well-being of our students, and a lot is being done to support our students in our schools and all throughout our county. With that said, we still need to continue to find ways to strengthen relationships with the students in our schools. Last year, I spoke about John Hattie's research on the importance of students having strong relationships with adults at their school. In fact, his research has shown that these strong relationships not only support the students' well-being, but it also improves academic achievement with the effect size greater than many other things that we often think about. Greater than study skill improvement, greater than strong classroom management, greater than homework, greater than class size. In fact, of the 150 educational interventions or strategies that he studied, strong teacher and student relationships was ranked number 12. Number 12. Now, Gallup has a new research study that was just published just a couple weeks ago. And it's a comprehensive study around student hope, engagement, and well-being with their national survey of over 600,000 students and an in-depth study of 148 schools in a case study of a large school system in the United States. Gallup found that students and their level of hope was positively related to their emotional engagement with school, which in turn correlated positively with their math, reading, and science performance. And this relationship was not modest. The model accounted for almost half of the variation in students' math achievement and 1/3 of the variation in reading and science attainment. So the relationships and emotional attachment to school is very, very important. So strengthening the connections, the relationship between students and teachers must continually be an emphasis for our work this coming year. And so I ask you, how are you in your schools intentionally connecting with every student at your school? And what can we do better as a system to strengthen and provide you the support to continue that work? We also will be launching division-wide a system called the Text Crisis Line in partnership with the county that will provide students with a way to text for help 24/7. Students no longer use call, do they? But they will text. This system was launched this past year, just the last month of school, at 2 of our high schools, and we had just in that last month, just a few weeks, and just those 2 schools, we had over 25 students. We had over 50-something responses sit in for help. 25 of those were very legitimate calls for help, where we were able to provide, with our county partnership, some support for children. And we know of at least one life that was saved in just those few weeks. Wow. So I'm very proud of that system and the work that many of our folks throughout FCPS helped deliver and develop with our county. And we will be launching this system division-wide as we start this school year off. So congratulations. Finally, we learned in these surveys that we need to work on culture. And we've talked about this before. Being a large system, it's really hard to not appear unfriendly. So we know that this is something that we have to work on. But when we asked our surveys, through our surveys, we asked our stakeholders, we asked, is FCPS responsive and caring culture? Do we have a responsive and caring culture? Only 54% of our students agreed. 67% of our parents agreed. 73% of our employees agreed with this statement, and 57% of the community agreed with this statement. In our preliminary work around the strategic plan, which is underway and being developed in earnest right now, the board has already indicated that one of our primary strategic goal areas will be in the area of organizational culture. And we will begin working with you to design some work around how we address this important measure of our system. The culture of this organization, the culture of your department, the culture of your school, is the primary responsibility of leadership. We, me and you, all of us, are the keepers of the FCPS culture. And as such, we are culture building every day. We want to establish a consistently positive, responsive, and caring culture for our students, for all of our employees, for you in this room, for our parents, and all of our stakeholders. We want to create and sustain a positive and supportive culture where our students and employees love to learn and love to work. So the theme of this leadership conference is FCPS Cares, and this will continue to be our theme throughout this coming year. You've received some materials at your places in our pen, lapel pen. FCPS Cares, and the lovely video at the beginning that talked about FCPS Cares and the portrait of a graduate. Wasn't that video great? Thank you all. FCPS Cares, meaning FCPS cares about providing a responsive culture, excellent academics, positive relationships, and enriching experiences for all of our students. Today, I'm very excited that we have Mr. Mark Sanborn here with us today as our keynote speaker. I've heard him speak on a couple of different occasions, and I've read his books, as many of you in this room probably have. He is an excellent speaker. See, I'm setting you up really well, Mark, right? I'm getting their expectations really, really high. But he will give us some strategies for how we, as he suggests, elevate the experience for our customers. Mr. Sanborn is the author of a series of books, The Fred Factor. These books are about doing ordinary things in extraordinary ways. I promise you, you will enjoy and benefit from his talk today. And we do have people all throughout FCPS who have always done their regular jobs in such extraordinary ways. I'd like to highlight just 3 of these people today, and there's countless thousands of others. But first, I want to recognize Aaron Curtis, and I know Aaron's here. I saw him earlier. Aaron, right there. Everybody in the room knows Aaron. Stand up, Aaron. Aaron doesn't know this, but he's a frequent flyer on our kudo system. People write in about Aaron all the time, and he and his team at the warehouse consistently receive compliments from throughout the school system. This past January, in fact, I was going to tell you about a specific time where someone wrote in about what Aaron and his team had done. At West Potomac High School, they were asked to host a 24-team wrestling tournament with only 10 days' notice. So the school's Assistant Director of Student Services, Barbara Mahoney, requested that new wrestling mats be delivered for the tournament. However, the day before the tournament, no surprise, it was a Friday, we were closed due to snow. Barbara couldn't imagine that Aaron and his crew could deliver the mats, but she came in the next day on Saturday and found all the mats were delivered and ready for the tournament. This is a shining example of an FCPS employee who loves his job and takes great pride in serving his customers. Thank you, Aaron. He's also done quite a few things for me. Right after we moved here, he had to come, and he and his team were so nice to come to my home to pick up all my boxes of books. I have a lot of books, don't I, Aaron? My husband always complains about my books. I have a lot of books. Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize Dave Fee, principal of Hunt Valley Elementary School. I saw Dave sitting right beside him. This is Dave. Mark, we had lots of snow this past year. We missed 11 days of school. It's terrible. But this is another snow story. We have a really big snow in February, if y'all remember. I know, how could we forget? Sometimes it takes not only the village, it takes the village and the principal and everybody, right? Well, to reopen the schools after the big snow, we asked a lot of our folks to come out, and they had to shovel through the snow to get it ready for the next day. Well, it turns out Dave and his son Brendan came in on that February 14th, despite having more than a foot of snow on the ground, and despite the offices being closed, and he and his son Brendan helped the custodial team shovel out the school. And I was very impressed with that. In fact, Cammie Johnson, the custodian of Hunt Valley, gave Dave a huge compliment and said, Dave's can-do attitude is always evident at Hunt Valley, and we love him for it. Thank you, Dave, especially since it was his first year as principal of Hunt Valley. So thank you, Dave. Dave learned very quickly. As principal, you just do whatever it takes, right? Did you think you'd have to shovel snow? No. Finally, Beth Werfel is here with us today. Stand up, Beth. Beth is a school psychologist at McLean High School, and she was recently praised by a parent for an extraordinary act that likely went unnoticed by many folks, but made a powerful difference in the life of one family. At McLean High School, a parent recently shared that her daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was a freshman, and unfortunately at the same time was going through a serious family tragedy. Ms. Werfel provided exceptional support to her daughter to not only help her get through the day, but to make it a good day. When this mom was feeling overwhelmed with the challenges she was facing, she also visited Ms. Werfel, where she also felt like she had a safe haven. Because of Ms. Werfel, her daughter was not only able to keep the right perspective and not let her diagnosis and her family tragedy get in the way of her dreams of doing well in school and going to college. In fact, she's now in college and considering studying psychology to follow Mrs. Werfel and her inspirations she provided, and maybe become a school psychologist herself. So thank you, Beth. These are just examples of the many exceptional acts that happen every day throughout our school system. And now we have a new way of recognizing the wonderful employees and the many, many ways that they go above and beyond to help people throughout our system, whether it be the students, their colleagues, parents, maybe the neighborhood. But you received an FCPS Cares card, and we will be using this all throughout this year to acknowledge our employees who go well above and beyond the call of duty. Mark Sanborn, our speaker, has given us permission to use some of his language from the FRED checklist, which you probably will hear about today. So you'll find this on the card, and we'll be asking stakeholders to go online to our webpage at fcps.edu, where we have a form that you can submit, which is very similar to our former kudos page, except now it's on our main website. So our parents and our community members, anyone else that would like to compliment our wonderful employees will have an opportunity to do that. We will be informing the community of this opportunity. When an employee receives an online FCPS Cares card, the employee supervisor will be notified with an email. And we're asking all department heads and school principals to create a spot to display these FCPS Cares cards so that everyone, including our parents and community members, can see all the extraordinary work of our employees. It's a great way, I believe, to acknowledge wonderful service that we know goes on every day in the system. So I'm excited about that, and I thank Barbara Hunter and her team for their work on this FCPS Cares card. So please encourage your employees or parents. I get lots and lots of emails from folks who want me to know about someone special who did something special for them to help make their day better. And now I'm going to be able to tell them, if you don't mind, go online and fill this FCPS Cares card out, because it will make them, I know, feel very much appreciated. So culture is important. We know that the best learning, the best work occurs when people feel safe, supported, and happy. This is true for us as adults, and it's most certainly true for our students. We have begun to shape the future of FCPS, and our ability to continue to be the very best school system in the country, it will require that we have a supportive and responsive organizational culture, because it's essential to the future that we are working to create in FCPS. So I'd like to finish my portion of this morning's program by talking about some of the important work that we've already begun around shaping our system for the future. Last year, we convened a group of over 70 different stakeholders. Ms. Darnett Koufax represented the board along with Ms. Strauss on this group. We had business leaders, parents, master teachers, school leaders, and we did ask them a question about what are the skills necessary for success in a rapidly changing world? What do we know our students need to know and be able to do in this rapidly changing world that for many of us, we can't even comprehend or even know what it might look like? We recognize that learning the core knowledge and the disciplines is very, very important. Students do need to be able to compute, apply the scientific theory, etc. But we also know that this is not sufficient for success in this global economy. The skills necessary to use this knowledge in new and novel ways is most definitely essential for success. The group assisted us in development of the FCPS Portrait of a Graduate. Do you remember why you became an educator? Do you remember that first year as a teacher and how excited you were to enter the classroom? Do you remember why you love school? Most educators love school. I love school. Well, today we've become so focused on high-stakes testing that it feels like a lot of the love and joy that we have for education has been taken out of our system. I believe that when we are able to fully implement the Portrait of a Graduate, we will have recreated the learning experience that will bring back the joy to learning with more project-based learning, capstone projects, more authentic assessment. Recently, I asked a group of 6th graders what they love most about school. And I have to admit, I expected them to say reading or math, science, band, maybe football, typical things. Interestingly enough, what this group said without hesitation and with a great degree of enthusiasm was projects. Wasn't that the perfect answer? Projects. But you've seen it for yourself. When students are engaged in a project, when they have to take a problem, they have to create a solution, they have to present their ideas, they do get more captivated and more excited, don't they? And certainly more engaged. What we need more of is projects. The opportunity for our students to apply the knowledge that they learn, to interact and work with others. Bill Daggett says that relevance makes rigor possible. I believe there's so much truth to that. We have the Portrait of a Graduate available to you on our intranet. This document will not be available to the public until the Education Summit in October. In addition, the school board is scheduled to take formal action on this document just this next month. But let me introduce you to our Portrait of a Graduate. This first slide shows the 5 major categories. The FCPS graduate will engage in the lifelong pursuit of academic knowledge and interdisciplinary learning by being a communicator, collaborator, global citizen, creative and critical thinker, and by being a goal-directed and resilient individual. You will note that these are very similar to the 4 C's, and many of our schools throughout FCPS, many of your schools, have been doing this kind of work, focused on the 4 C's, critical and creative thinking, doing a lot more project-based learning, thinking about how we engage students in new and different ways. Within each area, the committee develops specific skills, such as, under communicator, incorporates effective writing skills for various purposes and audience to convey understanding and concepts. In collaborator, they're doing pretty well, aren't they? Respects divergent thinking to engage students in thoughtful discussion. In global citizen, communicates effectively in multiple languages to create meaningful connections. In creative and critical thinker, evaluates ideas and information sources for validity, relevance, and impact. And finally, goal-directed and resilient individual. An example of that one is persists to accomplish difficult tasks and to overcome the academic and personal barriers to meet goals. I'm very proud of the Portrait of a Graduate. I find this work to be some of the best I've seen done. And I found it not to be age-specific. As a classroom teacher, I can see these skills applied and integrated into lesson design, even beginning in kindergarten at the early ages, all throughout our system. As we use the Portrait of a Graduate to focus the design of our strategic plan, please know that the Portrait of a Graduate work will not create more work. It shouldn't. It will simply be different kinds of work. How does it sound to have less focus on teaching for the preparation of the test, less focus on high-stakes testing, and more focus on engaged students, projects, authentic assessment? It will be different kinds of work. So it will be not more, just different. I'm proud of the work that's been done, as I said. And this work will be the center of our strategic planning process, which will result in the completion of this plan sometime this fall. Finally, I want to thank you for your work this past year. Many of you may read, I think sometime this week, the Washington Post is going to be running an article about the top 10 things that were done this past year. I think you should be impressed and proud of that work. It was some heavy lifting this past year. In fact, one of the well, we did lots of things that were really important, but one that was really on a short timeline was the change to our Mondays at the elementary level. So we're the only principals in the room. Stand up if you're an elementary principal. I have to compliment the Elementary Principals Association because they have been working on this, I think, for 10 years. 10 years. We had half-day Mondays on Mondays. They've been in place since, I think, 1972. Because of a multitude of different factors, it became apparent to a lot of us that it was time for us to change it. But our timeline was very aggressive. And so I want to thank all of our elementary principals who, I know this summer, have been working hard at modifying their schedules, potentially hiring, working through all of that to get ready for students. From what I hear, you're doing a great job on that, and we stand ready to support you any way we can. That will make a difference. 2.5 hours more of learning for our kids every week. That in and of itself will make it worth it. So thank you, our elementary principals, for your heavy lifting on that one. As we begin this next school year, I am more optimistic than ever that we are headed in the right direction and that the future remains bright for FCPS. As we continue to shape the future of our system, and as we look for ways to overcome our challenges, I will continue to seek your best ideas, your best solutions, your counsel. I thank you all. Again, I look forward to visiting your schools, visiting your departments. That will continue to be a priority for myself and the entire team. It's not to check on you, it's to help us better understand the challenges you face and how we best can support your important work. I thank you all, every one of you, for being a part of FCPS, for providing leadership in your departments and schools, and for championing every day for our students. You and all of our FCPS employees are what makes Fairfax County Public Schools so special. Thank you for all you do, for serving as an inspiration to our students and our parents and our teachers, and for the positive leadership that you provide to this organization. Mr. Sanborn, we do have extraordinary people in FCPS. Thank you for all that you do. And I hope today that you find the day you enjoy the day, that you find the learning opportunities today beneficial and thought-provoking. And finally, I wish each and every one of you continued success in the 2014-2015 school year. And my hope is that each of you will have a fulfilling, happy, and academically successful year. Thank you very much.